Greetings War Thunderers, this is Longshot with you again. Welcome to my video on the Yak 9T in arcade. And you may be wondering why on earth I'm covering this plane. Surely if any plane does not need any kind of guide or tutorial, it is the Yak 9T. Well, I originally thought of doing it as an April Fool's joke, then realised I'd probably be too late getting it out there and I'd missed the date. And also there was overwhelming flood of questions asking me to cover this plane on the comments, so I thought, well, it's a change of pace. And I've just had 3,000 subscribers, so consider this a subscriber special. I hope you appreciate it. For me, it's just been a fun plane to fly, as it is for everyone. Why not cover it in a video? As you can see, it's just your normal Yak. It has wooden or Bakelite covered wings, it has partly cloth covered fuselage, and a massive dirt cannon firing through the propeller. Not much more to say about it. Looking at the armour, it's pretty standard for a plane of around a tier 3, bit of glass on the front, bit of a metal plate behind it. It's not often you'll lose your pilot under most circumstances in this plane. The internal components, the fuel tanks are what stands out, except you've got to keep in mind that these are Russian self-sealing fuel tanks that will put out nearly every fire that ever catches on this plane. And of course there's the dirt cannon mounted in very cleverly in the V of the engine. Okay, so with that done, let's go to a test flight and see how it behaves. And this is actually quite interesting because the most common accusation about this plane is that it is a total UFO. Let's see if that's true. Its roll rate is about the same as a 109's, pretty good. Putting it into a turn, I want to see if it catches its smoke trail. Its turning circle is actually fairly small, at a fairly high speed turn here, and it almost catches its smoke trail. So it's not quite as good as a Spitfire. Better than a 109, I would say though. And importantly, look at the speed. I've been around more than a complete circle now, and it's still dropping just, but it will stabilise still over 320 kilometers an hour. Not losing any altitude of note really in the turn either. Not many planes can hold that kind of speed in a sustained turn. And that's not all. Let's look at its rudder. I'm going to a spiral climb just by tapping the roll key to straighten the plane as I hold left rudder and up elevator. And it is spiral climbing like an absolute champion. You would think this plane is a higher boost of the way it's just able to keep going and going and going. I've gained nearly 1,000 meters and it's still going, even right down to 100 kilometers an hour or less before it finally can't climb anymore. But it's still able to turn, and did you notice how tight that turn was? That's because the rudder on this plane is exceptional. One thing that is not exceptional though is its ability to recover from low speed. It takes forever seemingly to accelerate, and using WEP or the 110% boost doesn't seem to make a lot of difference. If you're ever caught at low speed in this plane, go into a slight dive to accelerate, because otherwise you'll be there nice and slow for far too long. Okay, let's look at the control lockup at high speed. Beyond 500 kilometers an hour it does start to stiffen up quite noticeably, however the rudder does not. So depending on whether you use roll or yaw to adjust your aim at high speed, that determines whether or not you regard this as good high speed handling or poor. Up into a zoom climb. And we started the zoom climb at around, 1,200 meters altitude. I'm well above 3,200 and I'm still doing over 200 kilometers an hour. So it's a very good zoom climber. And taking this plane right up to the point of stall, you can see how it handles in a hammerhead. Comes over very quickly with the rudder, however the plane's out of control for a good few seconds. Very sloppy until it manages to level out with the aid of some combat flaps. So yeah, its low speed handling leaves a lot to be desired. One thing to note before I go on, look at the amount of spread from its cannon. Hardly any. Now these are 37mm shells, and I can fire it like a machine gun. The little bit of spread there is, you can just regard as aim correction. Right, so let's go to a battle. This is air domination, and the first thing I'm going to look at is its climbing. And I'm going to show 2 air domination battles in this video. That's all I'm going to show because it's sufficient to display what the plane's capable of. And this first one, I'm putting it straight up into a direct vertical climb. That gains me around 800 meters before I really have to level the plane off. But then I've got the problem of, yes, I'm slow, and it takes forever to get my speed back. Because like most Yaks, this really likes to be climbing at a fairly high speed. 270 kilometers an hour minimum IAS. 300 kilometers an hour is even better for this plane as is for other Yaks. But this is a very tight cramped map because it's air domination. I simply don't have space to climb at that speed unless I want to fly right away from the battle. So I'm zigzagging behind, and I've let my speed build up to around 250 odd. And I'm clawing for altitude at those speeds which are really too slow for this plane. And as you can see, there are enemies who've got higher than me, in particular a P-39Q. No one on my team source seems to have climbed that much, not that I'm looking at here anyway. So yeah, it's really not a stellar climber at low speeds. In the next game I'll try it at a higher speed. As you can see, an A6M2 on my team has also outclimbed me. Right, so let's get into the battle. I only have the B-25 and P-39 to worry about. For the moment they're tangling with other people. I will let them do that until I see an opportune moment to enter the combat here. And the B-25 might give me a shot at him. Just a quick check to make sure no one's climbing at me. No, the P-39 I have to worry about is coming for a head-on. Let off a few shots and into a snap roll. Okay, I've dodged that. Now I'm going to pull the plane deliberately up, standing it on its nose. I'm using the rudder to turn it, because that is a very quick way of getting the plane to turn. But the P-39 is a little bit distant from me, and I haven't got the acceleration to quickly catch him up. So I'm just firing a few speculative shots. And fortunately for me, he decides to turn back again. Just a hit there. And I'll just keep rudder turning, climbing and rudder turning. I speculate that he's either going to dive out or he's going to come back up again, and he is coming back up, and this will give me a perfect shot at him. Nice and close. And the machine gun cannon makes no mistake. For the lower tier planes, this is by far the deadliest 37mm cannon in the game. With every other 37mm cannon I can think of, the Japanese or the American, you have to snipe. You have to go one shot at a time, maybe let a few shots off if you're extreme close range. Not so with this plane. You have 30 shells, relatively quick reload in arcade once you've trained your crew up and experted it, so why not use it? Anyway, flying over their stream of incoming planes, and in our nation the most important ones to look at are those who climb. There's a climbing Hayabusa directly beneath me. He should have stalled out by now, or as close as Hayabusas come to stalling out. Yep, there he is. So, see if I can give him a run. Out of luck. Never mind. Back into a zoom climb. And is he following me? Looks like he might be. Though I'm definitely easily leaving behind, as you'd expect, given the amount of speed I carried into the dive and the zoom climb. See if I can give him a second shot now. Also climbing with him was a P-39. Now, both those planes are dangerous in their own way. The Hayabusa, I'm not sure if it's a cannon one at this stage, or a machine gun variety, but either of them could get on my tail and I wouldn't be able to shake them off. So there's the Hayabusa gone. Let's see if I can pick up the P-39. No problem. Didn't have to be particularly accurate at all with either of those shots. And that's the beauty of this plane, and that's what makes people so upset with it, because a lot of people are upset by this plane on the forums. Firstly, because its cannon is just a dirt cannon. You don't have to be particularly skilled to aim with it, and I can see their point. It really should spray shots around a lot more than it does. With the developers saying that they've added recoil into the game for this plane, I don't believe it. The Yak-9K is a different story. It sprays them around the place, but not the 9T. Now I've flown out to the side as there's an I-185 trying to climb a long way away. He's playing a long game here, and also an A6M2, who I just shot down in the Hayabusa, who's doing the same thing. Now I've realised that if I want to get the I-185, I'm going to have to fly for a long time and right away from the battle. But the A6M2 wants to dance right now, so I'll let him stall himself out and then boom and zoom him. Nice and simple. And then I'll just head straight back to the battle, and I'll let the I-185 take care of himself as he climbs out there. I'm sure he'll be back later, and I'll deal with him when the time comes. Okay, back over the enemy planes again. I'm looking for climbers, and the P-39N is definitely interesting. I don't want to sacrifice my altitude advantage, although I've got far too much of it at the moment. I've suddenly realised I'm over 5,000 metres, so yep, it's definitely time to push down and take a shot at this guy. He's trying to split us away, but one shell is all it takes. And that's 5 very easy kills just from using simple boom and zoom tactics. And back comes the I-185, and the Zero and Hayabusa pilot is also back, this time in a KI-61, and he also has climbed out to the side. So I decided it's time to face up. I can't let these guys jump me being unprepared. And what I want to do with the I-185 is I want to force him into head-ons. I don't want to give him the chance of boom and zooming me and hitting me while I'm busy doing something else. If it's a head-on, then it's a 50-50 equation. I can loose a few shots off at him and then snap roll out of the way. Now, of course, he's got very powerful frontal armament too. In particular, he's got rockets, and one of them's detonated and making a mess of my left wing. But that's his, and because of that I've got no lift in the wing and I can't get guns on him. Just want to make sure he doesn't come back and get another shot at me. I'm using the rudder to turn, which makes me a far sharper turner than he is playing. And okay, I don't have to worry about him. I can switch onto the KI, and for some reason he's trying to climb above me, so that's the end of the KI. Now where has that 185 got to? Right, he's coming back for another head-on. I'm not in a position to contest it, so I'll just snap roll away again. And now into a climbing spiral, which I have to correct with the roll a lot more than I did in the test flight, simply because the left wing is so weak. But notice that the I-185 cannot hang with me in the climbing spiral, despite that plane being so much more faster. More faster, is that a way of saying it? A lot more engine power and better acceleration and all the rest. It's simply the rudder turning abilities, and if I had any luck I'd have shot him down right there and then. Shows how effective the climbing spiral is in this yak, as it is in other yaks as well. Most of them do have a powerful rudder like this, although it seems to be accentuated in the Yak 9s more so than the Yak 3s. Okay, he's flying away to reset. I haven't got the speed to follow him, so I'll just switch to a couple of very tempting looking B-25s here. I want to keep it to short bursts. I've only got 3 shots left. Okay, that's the end of him. And I've only got the one machine gun. It is a Berezin 50 cal machine gun, and that's good enough to light both of his engines on fire. Now the 185 is in position for another return bout. He's flying very sensibly. His plane's capable of getting that altitude advantage and speed advantage over me. He has to keep using it. Unfortunately for him though, he cannot get a shot at me unless it is in a head-on, because I'm refusing to let him attack me in any other way. Wasn't lucky enough to get a hit there. He can't follow me in the snap roll. Once again I'm in a rudder turn, and I expect him to run away and then try again. This time I've got no other distractions up here, so I'm going to follow him. And if it wasn't an air domination game, I'd dive down to keep the distance between us close and not give him a chance to even turn. But I'm not going to do that because I need to preserve an altitude advantage in this particular game mode. And that gives him the opportunity to climb up and face me for another head-on. And this time, one of my shells connects with him, and he's extremely lucky to have survived that. It set him on fire. Down he goes. Now that fire won't kill him, but it has destroyed his engine. So after a little while, he eventually has to land his plane, and that gives me the kill. And finally I'm free of the menace. And right. Now I have a climbing KI-18, who, yes, is the same pilot as I've already knocked down a few times in this battle. And a climbing plane is just money in the bank for a Yak 9. Except he wants to dive away, and now I'm finding myself head-on with a Spitfire. Get out of that nice and quick. Gotta pay attention to your surroundings in such a busy environment. Right, there's KI-102 up here with me. Most of the rest of my team now seems to have disappeared, so it's just me. There goes the I-185 and the KI-102. And the battle is winding down to an end. Okay, 45's got his eyes set on the 102, which gives me a nice chance to drop in, and this time I won't miss with the speed of that firing rate. And a P39 as well, why not? Up into a zoom climb, and now with the game winding down it's about maintaining our altitude advantage. If we had more time before the 15 minutes was up, we would probably, if neither of us made a mistake, be able to exploit this and eventually wipe out the rest of their team. But we're not going to be given that time. In fact, I had time for just one more kill. The I-185 pilot was back in a Yak-9. Thought about making a run at him, but I'm a little bit far away for comfort, plus he's manoeuvring around a bit. I saw the 102, however, making a pass at him, so I thought I'll watch from the side, see what the Yak-9 pilot does. Going for a head-on, 102 zoom climbing away, and Yak-9 pilot tries to follow. Made him an easy kill. And with that, I wasn't sure whether to look after that P63, go for the PBY, or maybe make an attack on a climbing Spitfire below, but I'll save the worry because the game ended with a loss from both teams, but that did not feel like a loss to me. So that's 12 planes destroyed in very quick time, and it shows what this Yak-9 is capable of. And it was interesting, they weren't all just easy kills, and I was challenged at the high altitude by the I-185, and that shows you how to fly it against someone with a superior speed advantage over you and even energy advantage, and make yourself quite a hard target. Anyway, in the next game, also an air domination. I seem to have a run of them. I tried to build up a bit more speed in my side climbing, and you can see that the climb angle is much lower. However you dice it, this plane just is not a good climber. I'm trying to let my speed get up to around 260, 270 kilometers an hour. Still a little bit slow for my liking because of the urgency of needing to climb so quickly. Just haven't got the patience to build up the speed required. Okay, now it's a bit faster. Even so, I'm not really gaining altitude that much faster than I did when I was clawing at a low speed. At least if you're climbing at a higher speed, you've got that speed in the bank to use if you're forced into combat. There's a whole stack of enemies who've climbed in this battle, and not many friendlies. In fact, I can only see the P-47 from my team. Which will either mean that the enemies will gain complete control of high altitude, and it'll be a real fight if I want to stay up here, or they'll all lose patience and just dive away. Let's see what happens. See, there's quite a few fighters as well as the P-25, and it looks like, with the exception of the F-4F, they are all diving away. All you need is a bit of patience in so many arcade battles, and control of higher altitudes is just gifted to you, because people don't respect it, don't see the value in maintaining that high altitude any longer than it takes them to see a target lower down to dive on, and they don't see the value in climbing back up after a dive either. It's sad. I really wish that the quality of gameplay was better. Nevertheless, here we are. I've got a Wildcat who is a potential target, but the P-47 is right on his tail. So that stopped me diving in for a head-on kind of attack, because I could easily have taken out the P-47 by mistake. And the Wildcat is now diving away. So forget about him. I'll head towards where the stream of enemy planes is entering the battlefield and look for climbers. It's the same recipe. And I do have a climber. It's a BF-109. Just heading out to that side. Time to boom and zoom. Now I get a bit of graphics lag here, which was a bit off-putting at the time, but the aim correction on the cannon did the rest. And you can see, if those players hadn't dived away and just deserted high altitude, I would not have been able to do that. He was probably one of the ones earlier in the game that went straight up to high altitude. He could have been flying with an energy altitude advantage over me right now. That's the choices for you, I guess. And now they've all gone so low that I'm even capturing the zone this early in the battle. And that'd be a real shame if the battle only went for that long. Okay, same guy is now back in a more serious plane than in the E1. This is a 190. He's trying to climb, but he's far too close to me for comfort. If he wants to gain altitude, he can't do it by flying straight into the zone like that, because he's going to get boom and zoomed. I zoom in with my aim, nice and steady. It's so hard to miss with these cannon. A friend of mine remarked that they seem to have a hit detection box the size of a bus, and I'd believe it. Compared to so many other cannon in the game, which can be so frustrating to get to land on the target, all you need to do is just generally point them in the vague direction of the target with these cannon, and you nearly always hit. Doesn't seem to matter what your ping is or your packet loss either. Not that I'm saying there's any kind of Russian bias in this game. Right, so no one's climbing, so I'm going to boom and zoom the furball. In particular, I'm looking at the Focke-Wulf 190 out to the left, who was climbing after one of our planes that had just also done a boom and zoom, but by the time I get to him, he's diving back in, so I'm not going to get a good shot at him. Instead, there's another guy who's climbing up in front of me as I come out of it. And perfectly set up for a low yo-yo attack. He would not have even seen me on his overhead map. And up into a zoom climb again, but you can see what that did. This is why I don't like boom and zooming the furball on these maps. It puts you too far beneath their spawn. And now if that 190 had decided to climb up to altitude, he could have got there well before me. In fact, suddenly I've lost my speed, I'm down around 150 clicks, and I know how long it takes to rebuild up the speed in this plane. Furthermore, the guy I've killed twice in the 190 and the BF-109 is now back in a Stuka, but fortunately for me it is not a D5. However, I have more immediate problems. B-25s inbound, and I need to split S underneath his gunfire to get away from him. He cannot follow me. I'm going to pull up into a loop and then rudder over. More of an Immelman, I guess. My elevators at lower speed aren't good enough to hit him there and then, but now I can low yo-yo up underneath. He's going to stall at the top of his climb, and that is good night B-25. Right, so that leaves the Stuka and another B-25. And the Stuka is definitely wanting to dogfight. Heading for a head-on, provided I can get a shell to hit. And I don't know how I didn't. Never mind. Okay, now it's just all about the rudder. I don't mind if I get slow. I already am slow. I haven't really been able to build up my speed yet since coming out of my zoom climb from boom and zooming the furball. Better not ram him, that would be a bad look. Okay. Scissoring back in, and unfortunately my cannon are offline. Or that would be one very dead Stuka. And another B-25 coming for a head-on. Again another split S. This time he's overshot me quickly though. And I'll get no, I don't think I will get another shot at that Stuka. The elevators at low speed leave a lot to be desired on this plane. They're great when you're going over 300 kilometers an hour, but at low speed they get very sloppy. But I will get another shot at this B-25. Okay, let's give the Stuka another run. It's not just me, he's also dancing with a P400. And also of interest is a 109 that's coming in. Looked to me like he wanted to tangle with the 400, so I decided to go for the Stuka instead, and was just a fraction too late on the kill. Never mind. So I have a yak here, and the 109 is flown out to the right. Should be able to get them both if I'm lucky. I spent a little bit too long looking at the 109 and didn't really line up the yak, so that's an opportunity missed. But the 109 is a gift. Now if the yak wants to keep climbing, I would be an ideal position to take him out, but he's one I'm going to have to let go. He's diving away into the furball. So with the Stuka and the yak, that's 2 kills I should have had that I missed. Never mind, you can see what I'm doing here, apart from when I'm forced to use the rudder in low speed engagements. Most of the time I'm simply using diving and climbing attacks from underneath, looking to hit people both in the dive and in the zoom climb. And it's extremely effective in this plane. Once more, going for a dive toward the furball, looking for anyone who wants to climb, such as this Corsair. He's oblivious to me, and that's that. Coming out of it is a P400. But he's going across me at too much of an angle, plus I don't have any cannon online, so never mind. And because I didn't dive down so far, I had plenty of speed and could regain my altitude once more. No climbing fighters this time, but I do have a Beaufort who wants to climb above me. Good luck with that. I don't notice many duds with this cannon either. They pretty much all seem to bring instant death to whatever they hit. Although you can fire them at such a fast rate. It seems like about 5 shells every second. It can be hard to tell individually what one shell does from the next. Okay, once more we're capturing the zone. It's just about suppressing anyone who tries to climb. Both of these guys look like they want to. They've had plenty of time to adjust my presence after spawning. That's one. Too close to this guy. Didn't quite luck out on that kill. So I'm just going into a high yo-yo above him. He hasn't wanted to dive yet, so I should be able to drop in for another pass. And he's not going to fly very well without a tail. Okay, what's next? Those guys all dived, as you can see. But a Lockheed Lightning wants to climb up. It's fine with me. I dived in a little bit quick here. Should have just given him a fraction second more to give him a chance to stall out. So I had to abort that. I didn't want to face him head on. And that gave him the chance to dive away, which he did not take advantage of. And I really did like this next kill. This MC200 pilot is coming straight at me. Once again I'm gaining position above him, but he's got plenty of energy, and that is a sharp turning plane. Just going to spiral climb with the rudder, or rather a spiral dive, and the rudder is so strong it could just follow his turn as he climbed with absolute ease. Okay, once again we're capturing the zone. I'm going to take out this guy over here before he gets a chance to enter the zone if possible. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. But right now it's all about trying to force them down to ground level if we can't kill them. And yep, as soon as he sees me coming he dives away. So I switch to the CR-42. It does the same thing. Lag and a P-38. Lag's low, I don't have to worry about him. The P-38 I can certainly take care of. Not sure what the other guys are up to, so I'll just zoom climb away at that point. And I probably should have looked and seen what the MiG and Heinkel 111 were doing, because I may have had a 14th kill there had I had my eyes open. But at this point my team unfortunately starts to run out of planes, while the enemy still has a steady stream of planes spawning in. But unlike the last battle, I haven't once been threatened seriously here at all. The combat's been interesting and varied, but because I managed to get that high altitude advantage from the outset, a few rockets here, and because the enemy team didn't really take any serious steps to try and wrest it back from me, it's simply been farming without any real danger, as long as I don't make a mistake myself. At this point it looks like I'm the only blue in the game. Well, I guess I'll take this opportunity to summarise. The Yak is a brilliant boom and zoomer. It's only a very average climber, And it also has the weakness of very poor acceleration once you get down to a very low speed. But its strength is obvious. It has an incredible 37mm cannon that is just death to whatever it hits, and that is extremely easy to use, as you can rapid burst fire it for 4 and 5 shots at a time without any worry about shots being wasted. It also has a phenomenal rudder, which you should definitely use in any kind of dogfight situation. Anyway, that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed flying this plane. I better stop abusing it and go back to planes which are neglected, and we'll probably do with some guides and tutorials. Till my next video, I'll see you in the skies.